I wanted to first share with you something that a colleague of mine posted, Matt Walsh. He posted this onto his Twitter yesterday, actually, and I was really struck by it because I've read things like it from the past, and I think it really serves a reminder for everyone in this room as to where we are today in America. This is the passage. It was written during the Civil War, and this is a letter to a loved one from a soldier, an infantryman in Pennsylvania. He writes, "Under the dark shade of a towering oak near the Dunker Church lay the lifeless form of a drummer boy, apparently not more than 17 years of age, flaxen hair and eyes of blue, and form of delicate mold. As I approached him, I stooped down, and as I did so, I perceived a bloody mark upon his forehead. It showed where the leaden messenger of death had produced the wound that caused his death. His lips were compressed, his eyes half open. A bright smile played upon his countenance. By his side lay his tenor drum, never to be tapped again." So again, to provide that context, this was written as just a letter to a loved one from an 18-year-old soldier. And why Matt was struck by this passage and why I have been similarly stricken by passages like it, reading these letters that just soldiers, 18-year-old, 17-year-old boys were writing back home, is how poetic and how beautiful it is. This is not written by somebody with a formal education. It's written by an 18-year-old just saying, this is what I'm seeing on the battlefield, and yet it reads like haunting poetry. And it begs the question, what on earth has happened where once upon a time in America, you had people with no formal education that were able to produce words and content like this, and now we are suddenly in a society where there's so much formal education. And do you think the average 18-year-old could describe what they're seeing in that way? This is not a stunning example. This is not a person that was exceptional. This was your average 18-year-old during the Civil War. So what's happened in American society today? We've given out so many degrees. We actually, as a fact, have never given out more degrees. And yet, from an IQ perspective, we have never produced students that are this dumb. That doesn't make sense. I'm serious. I'm talking about their standardized tests. Children are getting dumber and dumber and dumber, and you have to ask yourself why or how that is. Also, the emergence at the university level of what Thomas Sowell refers to as soft subjects, right? People that are receiving all of these degrees, but getting them in bizarre subjects like gender studies. What is that? What do you do for 4 years when you major in gender studies? What do you do when you graduate with a degree in gender studies? Here, I'll ask you guys a question. Have you ever, at any moment in your entire life, I want you to think of every single moment in your life, have you ever, in a time of trouble, or if you just had a basic question, have you ever said, man, I really need a gender studies major right now to sort through this? I'm going to guess the answer's no, because why would